cost be associated with each ones that we pick?
Okay.
Never got a thing.
Okay, he's probably just, he's just
Hello.
behind. How are you?
But, you know,
I'm fogging up.
Well, I
Was that,
have
I just looked
I like
at it.
these, but they don't have that clip, and that helps.
I like that clip.
Front page, which is on ours now.
yes, that's kind of like the Avery County EDC introductory
Okay,
page. Tells
this
you,
is not done yet.
Such a schnoz to cover.
I
Creates a lot of tinting action in there.
Where are we?
I think everybody's following them. I noticed at
what
church.
I'm thinking,
When we
I thought it was gonna
stand
be up top.
and sing, everybody's playing the worship folder, play, like this,
You know, the bar.
see it.
We used
So
to
that
hold
group
it.
came in, did their thing.
But if you might think that's better, because it's run underneath the website.
I think, I like it where it
Yes,
is.
okay.
I'm thinking that what I'd like to see
And they just
is
travel from place to
a
place.
virtual conference call.
call.
You, Jerry,
Yes.
myself,
Yes.
and Philip.
Because I know we talked about it.
Right,
Yes,
three of us and Philip.
yes.
And I, maybe with you being a participant and Philip being a participant, and the fact that, you know, this has been 2 months,
Yeah.
and we haven't gotten to where we agreed to be 2 months ago.
All right, Mr. Kim, we're good, and we are live on the web.
That said, I shall declare the October meeting of the Avery County Economic Development Committee open. And everybody knows what's one of the first things that we do is consider the minutes from the September meeting. And if there are no corrections or additions or edits, I would entertain a motion that we accept the minutes as written and as you have all received.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I'll third it. And you third it. Oh, you are good, Kate. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous, okay. All right. Unfinished business. The website development project status is, maybe you're hearing Melinda and I talk here a little bit, has really stalled. I'm not sure why. I am rather disappointed because we've had a number of conversations with Boomer. There never seemed to be a question in those conversations what our objective and goals were. Ken, I will get you an email. I will make these various suggestions and recommendations. We then would discuss, then get, okay, if we want this one, and this one, what are the prices? Because he understands that while we get to select, approval comes from the Board of Commissioners. We have yet to see anything. Melinda has just said that she is going to email him tomorrow, and I'm going to suggest this evening that what we might want to best do is set up a virtual conference call, Melinda, Jerry, myself, and Philip. I think that if we have Philip as part of that conference call, that gives further muscle to the fact that we're serious and we really want to get this underway.
He does have the one page already on our site.
Yes. So the problem there is you go to the Chamber site, you click on Economic Development, and all as you see is our current Economic Development Committee introduction. Explain to Philip that in the last month I have redone what I consider to be the most important page, and that's the resource page. Okay? And urging Philip to have Dennis make some time to get that loaded. Because the other thing that Boomer hasn't done is he hasn't transferred over to the Chamber site any of the other EDC pages. So if we can get the resource directory redone as I've given to Dennis, and then get Boomer to transfer them all over, that then will complete step one. Yes, Melinda?
Now, the last conversation that we had with him was that we wanted it all fresh and all redone, which takes time.
Right.
Instead of him just doing a copy over, we wanted him, you know, to make it new and different and fit more
So
on
we
our
need a
page.
price on that, and we just need a price, a quote, right?
Well, and that's what the last, when you and I talked, at the last meeting, that's what takes time to redo.
Right, and that's where we have been talking about getting his suggestions and recommendations. And over the last 2 months, we have yet to see anything. And so I'm thinking that if we do this with a virtual meeting, and maybe have all 4 of us and Boomer on the exact same page, and have him make a commitment to us, I will get this to you in whatever. I think we're willing to live with if he says a month, if he says a week, or he says a month. But we've got to have something in which he makes a commitment and he fulfills that commitment, so that we then can decide, okay, how much of what we currently have that we want to redo. I think we all agreed at the last meeting, and again, I'm going to, Melinda and I have discussed this, say that what we will do is to keep the EDC site at the Avery County website the same. Now, what we may want to do is, if in fact he makes some recommendations for information that we are currently not providing, if we go ahead and within our $4,000 budget, we can get these things done, the Board of Commissioners gives their approval to spend those funds, whatever they are, something $4,000 or less, then we may come back and say, let's take those pages and add them to the Avery County site as well, so that both sites will look the same. The one thing that Melinda and Philip and I have talked about is the fact that the Avery County EDC website gets anywhere between 25 and 50 hits a month. Melinda, you get what, 8,000 or 9,000?
Yeah.
So, from the standpoint of attracting those entrepreneurs over the next year or two, and as this migration continues, that would consider Avery County, and boy, if we could get that grant that Philip's been talking about for broadband coverage, so that we can provide that broadband coverage in such a huge chunk of Avery County that currently has basically nothing. What a great attraction that would be for those people, and we're reading about it all the time. They were told they had to work from home, they've been working from home, and their companies, their businesses are finding out, we don't need an office anymore. Okay?
I have a neighbor that moved in this, well, late summer. I'm not, my seasons, I'm not computing what season we're in anymore. But late summer, and they bought a house, 2 houses down from me. They have a son that's in high school, him and his wife, and they also had an RV. And they had also bought a separate empty lot that was, and everything. So what they did, they pulled the RV into the empty lot, and it's set up. They have moved up here from the Cary-Raleigh area. He uses his RV as his office because he works in IT with hospitals and things like that. He doesn't, and therefore doesn't have to use the home as an office and have it messed up or with talking all the time. He comes over to his RV about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, works all day, and then goes home when he's across the street when he's through.
Well, he'll have to pay me for that RV use as a developed lot.
Well, it is a
So he's
developed
gonna
lot.
owe me some more money.
It is a developed lot.
Go says
It is developed law already, yeah. So, but anyway, you know, you're right. People have found that they do not have to go to an office, nor do they have to require people to come to an office to get the same amount of productivity out of the job. And, you know, here he is, he's still, as far as his work is based in the Cary area, but he's up here in Avery County and never leaves. But he gets the same work done.
And even those people, that you're talking about, that may find that, yes, they will have to go into a smaller office, but it may be once every 2 weeks or once a month, in which that daily commute, no big deal. They're going to spend so much of the time working out of their homes.
Right.
And if we can attract those people to Avery County.
But you have to have IT abilities.
Exactly, and the other thing you have to have is housing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so.
Affordable housing.
Exactly.
Question about Boomer.
Yes, sir.
If he cannot deliver, what are our options?
He can deliver, it's just he's behind.
I mean, maybe promising more than he can do. That's what I'm worried about. We may be 6 months out, 7 months out before we get something.
Well, at the beginning, he was very confused, you know, until we clarified just, 3 weeks ago? He really didn't know. I think he first thought we were moving everything over and then marrying back to Avery County NC.gov. Then we kind of said, no, you're going to freshen up what's there. And so when I last talked to him, that's what he said. I already have somebody who's transferring and has started to do that. Now that's, 3 weeks ago. So I know when he did ours, it was, I don't know if your experience is that.
Yeah.
It
is time consuming.
It is time consuming, especially when he has all those pages to refresh. But he understood, like when it listed Town of Banner Elk, instead of just having Town of Banner Elk, he was going to do photos and, you know, more involved. But I don't know. I think he can.
I think, Jerry, that he's got such a long-term relationship with the Chamber and Banner Elk Beach that he's going to come through for us. And that's why I'm hoping that by having a virtual meeting in which there's no question as to what the goals and objectives are, and he's seeing, we've got the county manager sitting in, we've got 3 of us, that if he makes a commitment, I truly believe he's going to fulfill that commitment. And not to interrupt.
No.
And if he says, you know, I'm just so busy, I think it might be better that I pass, and I don't think he's going to say that. Well, he's not the only website development company in this area.
Okay. The other question that I have is that I was under the impression that, like, if you go to Avery County Government and go to my website, it goes directly to NC State and our website through NC State. So if we could just mirror straight off of the Chamber, that might be easier, because otherwise you're going to have 2 websites to maintain. So if you basically take the EDC and put it on the Chamber as a page in the Chamber, and then they click on Avery County Government for EDC, it goes directly to that. There's less chance of confusion and miscommunication, and there might, you know, that means someone's got to look at both websites to keep them both updated. And since Boomer can't access ours, correct, it has to be someone with either Dennis or someone else, I don't know. But
Well,
they're not.
In the last meeting, when we were talking about all this, it was the problem and the fear of seeing a fresh new website for EDC on averync.gov, and then that would make everyone, and Dennis recommended not doing anything yet to EDC on nc.gov because he didn't want to stir the pot about Is that right, Dennis?
Well, basically, so in
Yeah,
spending the money, for that development where we don't have anything set aside or any plans to have anything set aside at this point for other departments.
getting an update.
So Jerry, what we're saying is, and what
They
I,
haven't clicked on agricultural, if I could maybe use that same argument against you.
what I'm thinking is that when we get this done, what we do with the averycounty.gov site is, on the main page, okay, we have a EDC site selection. Click there, okay? And then have another button that says Economic Development Committee. So, if you click on the site selection, you automatically go to the chamber site. If you click on Economic Development, you're going to go to our current website as it currently looks. And so, the Board of Commissioners, if they approve this, it's still going to be our site. It's just that the primary location in reality will be the chamber site, because that's. And if you start out by going to the chamber site, as you currently would do now, you'll see on their homepage Economic Development. You click on that, and then you'll see the whole Megillah. That's what we're hoping.
Okay.
And I think redoing the averycounty.gov site homepage to accomplish that, having those two click here or click there, are relatively easy things that we can do in-house. Or if we can't, we may have to go back to the original website development company as we had to do once before, Dennis. But the cost was very, very reasonable. You know, it wasn't thousands. It was.
The sergeant, just, I think your state, I was a little afraid of the total transformation, all, you know, just in one fell swoop.
Yeah, no. So that's, I think we've kind of taken your concern to heart and come up with this as a compromise.
Yeah.
And given that the chamber gets the vast majority of hits,
Sure.
that's where we hope to continue to pick up.
But I will try to get him again. I didn't have a chance today to really find out what.
And what I would ask, Melinda, if you would, okay, is to say, Ken has an idea that a virtual meeting might be the best way to go forward. Would you please call him?
Okay.
And then I'm going to propose this virtual meeting.
In a time frame. We're working on a time frame due to commissioners and approval and
Right,
everything.
and
What can we expect?
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need to give him a window of opportunity for him to act in,
Right.
and not leave it open-ended like we have so far.
Exactly. And that's why I'm thinking if we have the virtual meeting and the four of us are there, he will understand that we need a definite commitment that he is comfortable with, and we expect that whatever that commitment is, we're going to hold him to that. Okay, let me see if I can do this real quick to get to more, and there we go. Okay, so we discussed that. Did that. And Philip, you'll kind of work with Dennis Holland to get that resource page redone, which he has, and I showed it to Philip, and I think basically what I've done in addition to adding to it, I've kind of categorized it. It was a shotgun approach. Gee, if you're looking for where can I look at startup capital, there's one here and there's one down here, and so made that look a little bit better from right
We're
now.
gonna
That's just,
categorize all this under.
it's just a shotgun approach, and I've redone that.
Get it reorganized.
Okay. Okay, any more questions or discussion on the website development project? Clayton was kind enough in my absence to attend the public hearing for the budget. Any comments you want to make, Clayton?
Really wasn't much of a public hearing. I mean, Philip basically presented our budget as it is to the commissioners, and they were all very appreciative of the work we do and everything, with what we've got to work with and everything, and they accepted it unanimously.
So that hurdle is over, so we're ready to roll.
Philip, when you get a chance, if you or Dawn would just send me now the budget so that I can have it and...
Okay. I can give it to you now.
Okay. Kate, anything more on Main Street America? Probably not in these difficult times.
COVID has rolled up Main Street America.
Temporarily, but yes, it has.
It is temporary. You're right.
Yeah, it is.
Philip, updates.
Updates, okay. Yesterday, the unemployment numbers came out for August for the state and for the counties, and I always like to look at this just to see how we compare, to keep everybody up to date. So to let you know, we did go up to 5% for the county, but I always look at our neighbors. So I look at Ash, they're at 5.1, so we're pretty even there. Mitchell's at 6.5, Yancey's at 5.6, Allegheny, small like we are, is at 6%, and the state average is 7%. So feel pretty good about that. I think there's plenty of people, if you need a job, I think there's jobs out there, is what I'm being told. So businesses are busier than they've ever been. You know, Melinda, last weekend would have been Woolly Worm at 71 degrees. Could you imagine? I've been to Woolly Worm when I froze to death.
Yeah.
But there's someone sitting at this table who shared with me, whose wife works at one of the grocery stores, who said sales were up without Woolly Worm. So sales tax is coming in, and Ashley is getting it processed in the computer, and she says it's going to be up, and that's, you know, that's amazing for you know, COVID. So
Were you over on the road at the intersection of Glenville and Grandfather Mountain?
I tried not to be, but
Well,
yeah.
I happened to go over there. The Shriners had their paper distribution last Saturday, and we only did Newland and Linville. We didn't do any other locations in the county. We had an excellent year. I mean, excellent. For one day, each location got over $2,900 of donations. That's just people driving by.
Yeah.
But when I got over to Linville Saturday afternoon, cars coming off of Grandfather, you couldn't see the end of them because they went up way beyond that curve that goes up the mountain.
Yeah.
Coming from Invershield, the cars were bumper to bumper, no end in sight from the intersection. And it was, I was amazed when and that was like at 3:30 in the afternoon, Saturday afternoon. So, I mean, there were millions of people in the high country.
The leaves have been beautiful, the weather's been beautiful, and tourists
I
attraction
understand
are we, so.
traffic
been
on the
beautiful.
Blue Ridge has been just horrendous.
Yeah.
So,
So unemployment rate, you know, I feel good as long as we stay below the state average. You know, I like that for our county. So Bojangles is a yes. They're pushing dirt. They're going to tear down building. I hand wrote them a letter from the county manager on behalf of all the citizens of the county to the corporate office, thanking them for their investment. So a little bird tells me that they have a crew that comes in and does certain parts of this construction, and it will be quicker than we think that they will be open. Because I thought they'll send a construction crew in here and it'll be 6 months, 8 months. No. They have a crew that comes in and does foundation. They have a crew that comes in and builds the walls. They have a crew that comes in and does the electric. And so it's a process. So they said it will go up quicker than you think. So that's going to be exciting. Broadband. So Ken kind of talked about, we still got the ARC grant out there with Melinda's help. The USDA Great Grant is available to Tier 2 counties. So we have several of our providers working on that grant. We've written letters of support. The Community Development Block Grant for coronavirus is now available through the county, and we are going for another grant, which we will have a public hearing on at Monday's meeting for $900,000 more, and it is to be concentrated solely on the bottom triangle 19E, that 194 19E corridor. It's $1 for dollar, will be a $1 for dollar match if we were to get that grant, to concentrate on that. And there's lots of loops that you have to jump through to get any kind of community development block grant. So this will meet the income threshold for that area. It will also meet the coronavirus things they have in place because of the virtual learning and all that our school students are having to do on Wednesdays. And then our middle school, Avery Middle's closed until next week, and there's a couple other classes that are closed. And there's opportunity out there where kids can't do the virtual learning because they do not have access to the internet. I have talked with a consultant with the structural property at the IRC. So that is not dead. The construction trailer is there. They are taking requests for proposal on the upgrades, and that will hopefully start in January. They have just finished their opening of their plant in Texas. So now there's Florida, Texas, and then we should be next on the list. So it's not dead in the water. It just, like everything else, a turtle's pace right now. So I'll keep you posted on that. Got an email from the North Carolina snow sports industry. So in case you didn't know, there are 5 counties in North Carolina that have snow sports industries, ski slopes. There's 6 ski areas. It's $228 million to the economy. They've asked for a letter of support from our commissioners. They have written their own safety guidelines for COVID, what they're going to do to be safe. So at 72 degrees, we're not going to have a lot of snow, but that's changing, as we all know. The sale of homes, of course, is still up. Talked with Michael Cooper, with the Government Affairs Director for the North Carolina Realtors Association for the High Country. There's 240-some members to that. He shared with me Wilkes County and Burke County's housing studies. I've had some time to dig in those a little bit and read in those a little bit. They concentrate, how much rental housing is available in your area, how much is for sale in your area, senior care housing, all that kind of stuff. So he's going to put a proposal together to see about doing some research here. Understand we still need that, some apartments in here, some affordable housing in here. So still working on that. Talked about the public hearing already. Our cases of COVID, I hate to bring that back up, but our cases of COVID is at a 25% rate for the last 14 days as of Monday. It's kind of triggered a red flag. Of course, we have some prisons in the county that's not counted on our census, and we have company and visitors here and extra people here. So when Department of Health and Human Services in Raleigh looks at our population, and then they look how many people we've tested and the 25% of those are positive, it's a red flag. So we, in order to combat that, we've done a challenge, and it's called 11/11/20. By then, we want to have our caseload back down to single digits like it was in September. Now, that may be unrealistic, but we're just trying to push the fact that we do what we know we can do. We've done it. We were the last county to get a case. Somebody was doing something right. So let's wear a mask, wash our hands, and social distance as much as possible, and just see if we can't get that. We need to get that 25% down. State average now is 5.9, so, we need to get back down to those numbers again. Can't brag on your departments enough, the health department, emergency management, EMS, everybody, sheriff's office, everybody involved has done a great job serving the citizens and helping with needs out there. It's shocking that people will call us and say, we ran out of PPE. Well, we've got it, and we'll share it, but you got to pay us back. People just weren't planning on this being here. So it's here, and we've got the stuff ready to CARES Act has allowed us to buy the stuff to be ready and get prepared. So if it's here for another year or two, we're going to be ready with resources. Other than that, I'm good. That's all I have.
Dave, anything you want to add?
Not really. We've got a few things going. I've probably got about 3 projects I'm working on in Avery County. I've got one in Watauga, which doesn't do us any good. And I might lose one that I'm working with in Avery to Watauga as well. But, we got some people ready to invest in us. And I've got one guy that's got a lot of money. And he says, I want to put it in Newland. So after the first of the year, we should be ready.
If I just share just what we're doing sort of updates, I just wanted to give you a number or two from our High Country Council of Governments meeting I went to last week. The 7-county High Country Council used to be Region D many years ago. And some interesting things come out. One of the things out of the workforce development presentation and data that came, Philip said the unemployment percentages are down, from where they were before, so that's a good thing. But in just raw numbers as well as percentages, of course, is a bit different idea, because the raw numbers here, percentage of raw numbers here is different than a percentage of raw numbers in Wake County.
Yeah.
Mecklenburg County, so in real people, it's quite interesting to look at. But the thing that got me was the taxable retail sales. This is through their July data, which was the most current they had whenever this was prepared. From the same period last year, they were 18.2% higher in the High Country, those 7 county areas, than the previous year. $282,756,933. So that I thought was pretty. We were really concerned as the county when we did our budget over sales tax and how that was all this going to affect, and it looks like that has.
We've had a reverse effect on us.
Because we have, more people staying here, more people coming here. I think I don't have, this is just a total shot in the dark, but I would think that maybe some of the more urban areas, you may see the decrease that we are seeing the increase of, because more, folks here. But I just thought that was good information and good news, and a very positive slant on what has not otherwise been a very positive year.
Well, thank you, Dennis. We'll keep that in mind for next year for the EDC budget.
Well, we have some other things maybe that we can do.
It's like when
I couldn't help myself.
When Harpo was talking about the person that moved here and he's got his office here. How many of those folks are out there now? you know, it's gonna be hard to count them. And they probably wasn't here for the census. So it'll be another 8 years before we.
The kind of people that would send it in April.
Right. So they sent it in April, and they probably lived at Waxhaw and Cary, so they're counted there. Now they've sold and moved here, and it'll be another 8 years before we do a census again. So it's crazy.
If you remember last month, we were talking about candidates to fill the vacant seat that Jesse Pope has left. And it seemed, as we went forward a little bit, that, boy, we were having a hard time coming up with candidates. And I am just delighted to say that in the last 3 weeks, wonderful things have happened. Melinda, I'm going to let you go first, who you recruited.
Angie, who works, and she is your relative at Blue Ridge Propane. When I stopped in there to talk to them, and she started talking about how excited she was to, you know, call the chamber and wanted to get some things going with students and that kind of thing. And I said, it sounds like you need to be on our economic development committee. And she said, oh, I'd love that. So, and that's when I told you to call her and get her an app. So
She has completed her application.
yeah,
Okay.
she was just
Thank
real
you.
excited, and it's from, of course, our community. And
Yes.
Yeah, she's a pretty nice girl. She just learned to come out of her shell and talk, express herself.
It was great. I was like, all right.
And then there's Kate.
And I recruited David Tate.
Oh,
And David
good.
currently runs Avery Association for Exceptional Citizens. He used to be at New River Mental Health. He moved away to Burke County for a little bit and then moved back to take care of his mom. Of course, the Tates have been here forever and helped start the hospital, and they're a huge part of the community. And he was actually very excited to consider that possibility, so he's already turned in his application too.
And I had a couple of people that turned me down because of the time required. But I am delighted to say that I was able to recruit Rick Owen, who's the Banner Elk manager. And I thought I was going to have a kind of a hard sales pitch, and he was just delighted to even be asked. So his application isn't in yet. I just sent him the application yesterday afternoon, but that will be coming in shortly. So from the standpoint of this afternoon, we've got 3 really great candidates. Susan has some
And
comments.
I've got one to add. I went over and spent some time with Tim and Karen Bounds at Mountain Jewelers, and they declined. They decided that they did not want to submit an application, but they did say that if we ever have a small business entrepreneur looking to locate to Avery County, that they would be more than happy to spend time with them, answer questions, serve as mentors. And they appreciated the offer, don't have time, but will offer their services as mentors.
And I told Philip earlier that obviously we can only fill 1 seat right now. Whoever are the 2 people that the board doesn't select, of the 3 that we're talking about this evening, they already know that there's only 1 seat, and it is a Board of Commissioners decision. I'm going to call them and encourage them that while they were not selected, we are going to probably have seats in 2021, and encourage them to keep their applications active, and then we'll follow up next year when we start seeing seats become available, because I think they're just really great candidates. So, Melinda, thank you. Kate, thank you. Susan, thank you. Some people that really got this underway. Okay. So we did the resource page. Eric Berg was wanting to do another presentation to us this evening. Unfortunately, he was called away, and so I will reschedule him for the next meeting. He just has some what I think are really interesting ideas to help develop Avery County. So I'm going to not say any more, but let him speak for himself when we have our November meeting. Jerry, anything you want to?
Yeah, just, harvest season has begun, and, we have been working with the health department and, county government to try to mitigate any COVID cases. And so far, we've just had, 5 total COVID cases amongst the migrant workers. 3 of them probably showed up here with it. The other 2 have acquired it. They've been here for the whole year. Extension went out to the 2 Latino stores, and I brought Elena Rogers with me, and we talked to them about basically all the boys who earn money. There's 5 phones in the county that they transfer that money back down to Mexico. And so we talked to them about cleaning the phones, disinfecting the phones, and Elena was, you know, she's from Portugal or something like that. She's fluent, and so she was able to talk to them about how to do it. And we're actually bought the materials, so we're going to supply them, the 2 stores, with disinfectants. So hopefully they'll minimize all the boys going there transferring the money back home, where they you know, do that. Jim Hamilton from if you remember a couple months ago, we talked about a chill and kill grant. He is we're not going to be as whole hog on it, so to speak, as we have been, but we're going to be supportive of it, and because it will probably benefit 15 to 20 of our producers that produce enough livestock. You know, if you only have a less than 10 head of cattle, then you're a hobbyist. It's kind of like if you have less than 5 acres of trees, you're a hobbyist. So we have a lot of hobbyists, but we also have some serious people out there, and so they're going to go forward with they did a letter of intent to the Golden Leaf concerning the kill and chill. You know, when and if they get a response back, then we'll go from there. I think that there's potential there. But the reality is that it is intimately related to the COVID, and so the question that no one can answer is, okay, what happens when COVID goes away? Is the bottleneck still going to be there? And unfortunately, with livestock, they went from having the highest prices ever a few years ago to now they're bottoming out. And so a lot of the speculators that got into the business are now trying to get out of the business. And so when that correction takes place, I don't know how that's going to pan out. But having more facilities, even if we just get that facility there, that means there's a facility within an hour versus an hour and a half. So there's potential there. The second round of the COVID money went out for the tree growers, and so a lot of my tree growers have applied for that, and basically you're getting 8 to 10% of your Schedule F. Whatever you report on Schedule F, you're getting 8 to 10% of that. And so a lot of guys a lot of tree growers are getting monies in that they wouldn't get. And so that's I think the deadline is coming up here at the end of this month for that. Because of all the non-farmers moving in and buying homes, we're going to have issues in the future. And I've talked to the Farmland Preservation Board to start getting ways to address it. I've received probably 15 or 20 phone calls in the past 2 months of people who are concerned of living next to a tree farm or livestock production, whether they're going to get some weird disease and die from it. And you know, the water quality issues are most of it they're concerned about, and I try to alleviate the fears, also reminding them that if they pump their own gas and if they drink chlorinated water, they're in contact with 2 known carcinogens every day. But that's going to be an issue for our farmers in the future, and we're going to have to figure out ways to address it. We're going to be having a couple of meetings in the springtime aimed at woodlot operations, which is basically if you come up here and buy 15 acres of land, you can be considered a woodlot, and try to invite those people to get them, you know, knowledge about what's going on, so they don't freak out when people go out there in the middle of the night and spray or anything else. We also, the Farmland Preservation Board is planning on restarting their fall farm tour, and we started that originally to get farmers to come out and see what other farmers are doing, but we got the non-farming, but we were getting 100 non-farmers, you know, people from Charlotte that'll up here for the summertime, to come out, and that way, it became a very easy way for us to educate the non-farming public about the farmers and let them meet them, and you know, alleviate some of the fears there. So that's gonna be something we'll be faced with in the next few years. It has not, unless your family has land, the increase in prices have basically knocked land out of anyone wanting to get into agriculture. Whenever the price of land gets above $3,000-4,000 per acre, it's more profitable to plant houses than to plant trees. So that's a concern that we're going to be faced with as well. And the final thing I'll mention is that I still have PPE. I've received this waterless soap. I've distributed that out to the growers. I distributed that out to the masks and the hand sanitizer out to the growers, and they're using it. So we're trying to, like I said, minimize the amount of COVID cases that we're going to run into, and hopefully we can get through the season. Because our big fear is, you know, if we have growers out there that are harvesting more than 100,000 trees, they usually have multiple crews cutting, and each crew is responsible for about 5,000 trees a day. So if you knock out 2 crews, that's 10,000 trees a day you're not getting. And so that's the big fear, is what's going to happen if that should occur. So all that being said, you know, right now that's where we stand in agriculture for the past month.
Jerry, from the standpoint of commercial Christmas tree sales, any idea, or are they same as, more than, less than?
Well, 4 years ago, the price of a tree was about $2 a tree in the field. Today, the price of a 6 to 7 wholesale is $34 to $38. And when the downturn in the industry in 2008 to 2014 happened, basically we had a lot of people who were growing 5 to 10 acres of trees and supplying it to the big boys. They retired. They were in their 70s and 80s. So when the downturn happened, they just quit and sold out their trees. And the big boys have not been able to replant quick enough. So right now, it's a great market to be in if you have trees. I can't tell you the number of calls. It's over 100 of people calling me saying, my supplier cut me off. They don't have enough trees. Is there anyone else? And there isn't.
There's nobody else.
There's no one else. There's no trees available.
They're calling me, and I'm like, I can't help you.
There's
So
no
the
trees.
demand then is actually
Yes.
certainly there.
The demand is out there, and we've gone from, we've gone from 900 producers down to about 200, 250 producers. We still have about 5,000-6,000 acres of trees, but the problem is that a lot of those trees are going to box stores and things of that nature. So the numbers going to the smaller salespeople or the mom and pop places are just not available. And when the downturn happened, planting decreased by 20-25%. So we're now planting, and right now it's going to be a great market for the next 10 years, and it'll be a great market until the number of seedlings when seedlings become plentiful and people are saying, I can sell it, right now the cost of seedlings about anywhere from 85 cents if you buy 100,000 to $1.25 if you buy 1,000. So until that price diminishes below that, it's in the growers' hands. And so right now the growers are just trying to, they're rationing out their trees. If you got 5,000 last year, you might be getting 3,500 this year, type situation.
And they're getting top dollar, which is.
And they could sell them all. I've had growers tell me, Philip, I could sell them all this year, but then what will I do next year?
Yeah, and a lot of these guys are cutting into next year's trees, and that's going to be, and they're kicking the can down the road, and so they've been doing that for 2 to 3 years, and some guys are just like, I can't do it anymore. So, but as far as the market, it's great. As far as the outlook, right now, it's great. Nursery products are great. So it's if you have the land and you have the plants, you're making money. You're making hay right now. So.
And Ken, if I can brag a minute on Jerry and his whole team. I've got this lady from the state over ag that calls him and his staff the dream team because of what they've done to be proactive on making sure our tree growers got what they need, PPE and all that, plus making a plan for our choosing cut, which is huge, because that brings people to the county, hopefully to eat, buy gas, all that for the day or the weekend. So that's going to be huge. We've got a plan as soon as we can move all the sign boards to the county lines when the choosing cut does start, you know, to let people know what they're going to do there. But Jerry has worked his tail off to make sure that everybody's educated on what's the proper protocols to do to keep, you know, the choosing cut stuff going also. Because it's going to be huge. People coming, when you talk about the traffic, looking at the leaves, it'll be crazy how many people are going to come up here to get a tree, because you're not going to see those trees at those lots. They're going to think they're going to come up here and get to buy it. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we figure we sell
Supply and demand.
about 45,000 trees choosing cut. And if each tree represents a family of 4 coming up here, that's, you know, they spend $100 in a non-farming entity. That's a chunk of change.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit of change coming in. That's going to be bought on top of the trees. So.
Well, you know, I was talking about all the cars Saturday. I was really surprised at the number of, all they need to say is, foreign ethnicity of the people that were in the cars. A lot of Asians were driving through and driving by and so on like that. I picked up some Italian accents and things of that nature. So, you know, there's all kinds of people coming into this area, which makes me bring back one of the topics that we keep talking about is the usage taxes that we keep kicking down the road, as you would say, as Jerry just said. The condominiums and all have been being full all summer long and everything. So I mean,
This would have been a great time for that hotel to win and it been around. Wow.
It is,
I know.
a consideration that's been presented.
How long ago has it been presented though, Dennis?
About 2 days ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, several of us have,
It's a priority.
Okay.
and I just brought in another $83,000
But,
for
you
a month that
know,
I normally would bring between 20 and 35,000 to put in. So the September numbers are just as fabulous as the.
And when it's 72 degrees, I mean, they don't, I just can't wait till that week we have the 10-degree temperatures. I want to watch what happens. I'm just going to stand out there. I'm going to go out to Limbo and count cars and say, let's see how many people's leaving.
They'll still come, though, they'll come to Beach
this type
Mountain.
of tax is not the kind of tax that affects your locals. They don't pay this tax.
No, it doesn't.
You know, the county tried to pass this one cent tax or whatever.
That Ashe County has.
For a couple of years ago or so. That didn't pass.
Yeah.
But this type of tax does not affect your locals. They're not spending the night and paying for condominiums and hotels and things of that nature.
Yep.
It's a traveler's tax that the locals benefit from.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what it is.
It is. I know, just read them. As far as updates go and things, just wanted to mention that the Heritage Center, or
Whatever we're going to call it. Right here,
is,
the siding's going on.
coming along very nicely.
Yeah.
And I was up there this morning, it is
Interior.
really shaping up, on schedule for, completion, pretty much on date. So, I think it's going, it already got people calling to utilize it, and we've already got things scheduled.
What is there, 12 commitments already?
Excluding my meetings. So these are people outside of extension meetings. So this is like, we have dance recitals, we have a couple of the ballroom dance things that might be happening. We've got a lot of the meetings and some of the I've been in Bear Club, places like that, having their meetings. So it's really, where we were working, Dennis, on coming up with like how to handle it, how to handle fees and everything. We're gonna throw it to y'all and let y'all take a look at it. But,
And amazingly, not one thing that they've ordered, you know, you hear, you can't get supplies, you can't get this, you can't get that. We've been blessed. So this is very exciting. The high school drama has the Polar Express. So if we are CO'd the week before Thanksgiving, the second week of December, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday performances of the Polar Express drive-in movie style. So you will stay in your car. They will do the production on the outdoor stage. You will tune in to the radio for your sound. So you'll park out here and watch. And that idea
now the concern we have is I don't know how many tow trucks we can get every now.
We're not gonna worry about that. I'm gonna go the first night with
I'll be under the county tractor and then.
I'm going the first night.
Who's next?
We'll pull you out for $1,000.
Jerry, I'll be alongside you with my four-wheel drive truck, 'cause I got one great big good tow chain.
I'm going the first night where there's not any mud.
It's really has shaped up, and the very minimal change orders, from, which is, you know, the
Always happens.
$2 million structure is pretty good, I think, and budget, nothing major. We got exterior work done, this last week on the, some ground shaping out in front of it, and look, I went up there this morning, I thought it looked real good.
Yeah.
And, starting on the exterior siding today, so it's really looking good.
I might borrow your four-wheel drive truck to go watch the performance.
Okay. And not to overkill occupancy tax, but it really is a pot of gold that's just out there waiting to be tapped into. We've talked about it.
See, I know a lot of the history, so I know I'm just bringing that up, but I think it's something that we need to keep bringing up.
Well,
Last month too, so.
we're heading for 6 o'clock. My list is done. Anybody else got something that they would like to bring up?
We just continue to have new members every month. I just signed up 2 more today. New dentist at the Linville Village. You know,
Great.
just continued Mountain Time, a store in Burnsville's now having another second store here.
Excellent.
What's the name of it?
Mountain Times.
Where are they opening?
They're right there by Little Deer.
So they're in the shopping center and the dentist is in the shopping center.
So I go talk
Yay.
to Hoover Thursday to see if they'll join, but it's
Susan, I've not talked to Luke. How's the bridge at Hampton?
Coming along very well.
yeah.
Looking good.
So that'll be soon, hopefully, because I know that's been a nightmare.
It has been.
Yeah.
It'll be nice when it's finished, though.
Yes, it will. It's a beautiful bridge.
From someone who's been there many, many times with the school bus on Highland Games Day, it'll be good to be able to sit around that corner and not go.
I want to thank you all for your time. It is so appreciative, and what we've accomplished and what we do is just unbelievable. So thank you. Thank you all.
And if I may, I know we all do our part, but Susan sitting alongside me here really goes over and above. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Minutes are unbelievable. Thank you all.
All right, if there's nothing else, I'm looking around, we don't have to have a motion. I will declare this meeting adjourned.
All right.
Very good. And thank you, Dennis Hall, and you can turn us off.
Oh, yes, thank you. Wait a minute. Forgot.
Sorry.
Next meeting falls in Thanksgiving week. Thank you, Susan. I had it on here and didn't see it. It would be Tuesday the 24th, Thursday is Thanksgiving. Do we want to stay with that Tuesday?
No, not really.
No.
Okay. Do we want to go then the week before?
That'd be 3 weeks from today.
The 17th?
If you have a meeting in December, you always kill it, you'd not do the meeting in December.
We may kill the December
So if you want to just
meeting.
combine November, December together, we can have it out there.
Would we want to then go, that's an idea, Jerry.
He's wanting to count that as one of his meetings.
I know where this is going.
As long as we're in before you come up with your price list, we'll be good.
You can have it December 1st, that's the next Tuesday,
How about that?
and there might be a.
We should be open for business.
All right, so why don't we agree on December 1st, and then when I send out my regular reminder, either it'll be there if Jerry says we've got to get the go-ahead, and if not, we'll be back here.
Wow, December 1st?
I know.
Can you believe it?
No.
Jerry, if we do meet up there, could you be our guest speaker and give us a tour?
Yeah. I can put you on the four-wheel and take, go down the trails too.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see, are we over? We're done, Dennis.
No problem.